In the history of the anime industry, one man did something that almost no manga author has ever done. His name is Kappy, and he invested his own money to produce his own anime. Before the anime even aired its first episode, he uploaded a video with a shocking title: "If the anime flops, I'll go bankrupt." When I first came across this, my first question is, why would he do that? Immediately follow with, why hasn't anyone else done it before him? To answer both of those, you need to understand something that most anime fans gloss over: the production committee. Next time you watch an anime, stay through the opening or ending credits. After the staff list, the music credit, and right at the very end, in the producer credit, you will see something like anime title, production committee. If you are lucky, some anime will actually list out the individual companies. They're usually made up of a publisher, a TV broadcast distributor, an overseas broadcast distributor, a music label, a toy company, and sometimes more. Together, these companies form the production committee. In another word, they own the anime. Here's how it works. Every company in the committee puts money into the anime production. In return, the committee collectively owns the IP, the streaming rights, the merchandise rights, the international licensing deals, everything. When the anime makes money, each company takes a cut proportional to what they invested. What about the animation studio? The people who drew every single frame, the people who bring the anime to life, if they are not in the committee, they just get paid a flat production fee. It doesn't matter if the anime becomes a global phenomenon or a quiet flop. They get paid roughly the same either way. Now, what about the author? The person who created everything, the person who built the world and the characters in it. Unfortunately, they are on the outside too. Similar to the animation studio, the author only receives a fixed licensing fee. Sometimes the author will receive a percentage of the anime profit, but only if it was stated in the contract. It's not rare for the animation studio to be part of the production committee. You can sometimes spot the studio name in the producer credit. We even have MAPPA acting as the sole producer of Chainsaw Man. But it's extremely rare for the author to own a part of their anime. So rare, in fact, that only one precedent exists. In 2022, one of the most beloved sports manga of all time released a movie adaptation, The First Slam Dunk. If you look at any official material for the movie, in this case, the poster, you can see it always carries a dual copyright: the production committee and a company called IT Planning. That company is the author's, Inoue Takehiko's, own personal entity, the one that holds all his IP rights. Having the company name listed alongside the production committee as a separate rights holder strongly implies that Inoue held a direct financial stake in the production. And Inoue didn't just stop there. He also directed the movie and wrote the screenplay himself, making him both the financial backer and the creative lead. The movie was a complete success. It receives immense praise and went on to gross almost $280 million worldwide, making it one of the highest grossing anime movies ever made. This is what inspired Kappy to invest in his own anime. He said it in his video that when his anime was being put together, he saw the staff list and something clicked for him. He thought to himself that this anime is actually going to work. And once he believed that, he couldn't just sit on the sidelines. He wanted to watch the production from beginning to end. He wanted to be a part of it. So he made an additional investment on top of simply licensing his manga. He joined the production committee, alongside with major industry players like TV Tokyo, Dentsu, and VAP. His reason for doing it is surprisingly genuine. He said it wouldn't feel right for him to provide creative input without sharing any of the financial risks that everyone else was carrying. If he wanted to work with them, he felt he should truly join them. But this raises the question, if this is possible, why doesn't other authors do the same? If more authors had a real seat at the table, maybe anime disasters like The Promised Neverland Season 2 and One Punch Man Season 3 would happen less often. Unfortunately, the answers to this are pretty depressing. There are 3 walls that stop most authors from ever getting in. You see, when a manga or a novel is adapted, the publisher controls the negotiation with the production committee. They represent the author, but they don't exactly act in the author's best interest. The publisher is already negotiating their own stake as a committee investor. Adding the author's investment into the mix complicates the deal and cuts into their slice of the cake. So the publishers have every reason to discourage this from happening, and most authors never even think to push back. The authors are in a structurally weak position against large publishing corporations. If an author pushes too hard to get into the production committee, they risk being labeled as difficult to work with, and it could damage their relationship with the publisher and potentially ruining their future as an author. For most authors, the safer move is to accept the flat licensing fee and enjoy the boost in book sale that comes from the anime adaptation instead of risking their career. Sometimes, the reason is pretty straightforward. The production budget for a single episode of anime can cost anywhere from 25 million to 50 million yen. A meaningful stake in the production committee requires some serious cash, and most authors simply don't have that. All three of these reasons together lead to what might be the biggest miss out in the anime history. In 2020, cinemas were at the all-time low. Due to the pandemic, everyone is staying at home. Demon Slayer Mugen Train still managed to bring people to the theaters. It grossed over $500 million worldwide, becoming the highest-grossing movie of the year. Then, a news broke and sent everyone into shock. Out of the hundreds of millions in profit, the author, Gotoge Koyoharu, received approximately $19,000. People was outraged, but this is just how the system is designed. Since the contract had no royalty clause tied to theatrical revenue, Gotoge only received the licensing fee for the manga. Now, Gotoge is in no way poor. Her manga royalties from over 200 million volumes in print have made her decently wealthy. The anime drove people to buy the manga, and she earns a percentage from every copy sold. But from the movies themselves, she gets almost nothing. While the committee takes their cut from that 500 mil cake, the author received a sum equivalent to a premium K-car. And that is just the first movie. How much the author is going to miss out from the Infinity Castle trilogy, we will never know. Japanese authors are simply too powerless to stand up against the system. There is no union to protect them, so they can only be gatekept outside of their own work. But why could Kappy do it? How did he able to get into the production committee while literally everyone else couldn't? This is because almost every wall that stops other simply didn't apply to him. Start with the publisher problem. The anime is based on Kappy's original webcomic released on Note, a platform equivalent to Substack or Patreon. While a redrawn version of his manga does exist on Jump Plus under Shueisha, that version has no connection to the anime. The original IP belongs entirely to Kappy himself. There is no publisher standing between him and the committee. The money problem was also less of an obstacle for Kappy. His Note subscription generates consistent monthly revenue from thousands of his paying readers. He also mentioned in his video that his investment in other companies also bring in additional income. But the reason that matters most goes back further than any of that. Before Kappy was a manga artist, he spent his years working in the advertising industry. He understands how commercial deals work, he knows how a production committee function and how to negotiate with them, and that advertising background is woven into his anime. The name of the anime is Eren the Southpaw. Southpaw means left-handed, by the way. It's a story about Koichi, an ordinary advertising designer with big ambition, and Eren, a reclusive graffiti artist who just wants to be ordinary. The two cross paths in their teenage years, and even though their lives pull them in completely different directions, they never stop thinking of each other at the moments that matter most. It's a story made for ordinary people who will never become geniuses. After finishing the anime, here's my 2 cents. The first 2 episodes serve as the prologue. They took place in high school and gives the viewers some context about the main characters and the dynamic between them. The storytelling here is quite janky. Instead of letting the story flow naturally, it just jumps from scene to scene. The first episode is rough. Eren is talented in art, but she comes across like a spiteful gatekeeper who actively tries to discourage Koichi from chasing his dream of becoming a designer. Even though we get a nice payoff in episode 2 that explains why she does this, the whole prologue just feels poorly executed. After that, the anime has a time skip, and we see Koichi entering the workforce. This is where Kappy's advertising background really shines through. This show really portrays the brutally depressing side of the industry. Stressful environments, harsh deadlines, proposals that get rejected constantly, corrections that drag on until midnight, terrible coworkers, especially terrible coworkers. This show probably has the worst cast I've ever seen. Almost everyone here are flawed to a certain degree. People who use others as stepping stone, people who do whatever they want simply because they are talented enough to get away with it, they are terrible. But they are also intriguing enough to keep you watching. The show never stops introducing this kind of characters. Oh god, there are so many characters. The anime starts off quite weak. It does get better as it goes on, but if you judge this anime by the 3 episodes rule, this one will not pass. The story suffers from poor execution, the time jump is too frequent, the anime constantly jumps between different storylines and time periods, making it hard to follow. Sometimes, moments do recontextualize as the story progresses, which is good, but the overall execution still feel messy and disjointed. The pacing is a bit fast, everything goes by quite quickly. While the story is still engaging enough for me to continue, the anime doesn't really give it time to breathe, and I feel like this type of story doesn't really benefit by the anime medium. The characters need more time to develop, and the anime pacing doesn't really allow for that. A slow burn live action drama would serve it far better. And interestingly, a live action adaptation actually existed before this anime. In the end, the anime didn't manage to garner much popularity. Looking at the view counts for the final episode on Abema, one of Japan's major anime streaming platforms, the numbers weren't great compared to other new anime in the same season. Even Rent-a-Girlfriend Season 5 pulled in more views on its last episode. While I don't think this anime will literally bankrupt Kappy, it's safe to assume he is going to take a significant loss. That said, if any of this piques your interest, go and give it a watch. The show deserves more than what it got. Well, that's it for the video. I gotta say, this is quite a fun video to research. Learned a lot while putting it together, and I hope you did too. Subscribe if you made it this far. See you in the next one.